Last time on
Hard refresh.
We're going way back to the alt attribute. Images didn't load. My internet was not working.
Can I guess what it would be?
And we've got the same image.
Okay. So
What's the name of this line?
So that's interesting too, because
You can point to a page like it is
What?
here. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can say, go check out this page, and this page is going to have the description.
So wait, so how does that come up with the screen reader?
Hard refresh.
So why are we talking about alt attributes so much? Well, there's been a lot of lawsuits, as you know, under ADA, and all of them mention alt attributes.
Right. So one of the things I find interesting about that is because alt attributes are like table stakes.
Right.
They are the easiest freaking thing you can do. So if you have not actually done your alt text or alt attributes correctly, shame on you.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so easy to do.
So here's one. This is the case of Maria Mendizabal. Hold on, let me try that again.
Mendizabal? Mendizabal.
Mendizabal. Okay, this is the case of Maria Mendizabal against Burger King Corporation. What were you gonna say?
Mendizabal. Listen,
Maria.
just as a note, we are not involved in this. We know not, this is an example of this lawsuit. This is publicly available information that we got online.
Yep.
However, it is indicative of the types of lawsuits that are happening with accessibility in general,
Sure.
but the call out to the alt text and
Yeah.
where is that? And
right here. So
maybe
while
we
attempting,
can, are you gonna
yeah, I can highlight this, but basically,
Yeah, but when you highlight that, the contrast ratio is crap.
okay. So I'm gonna zoom in right here.
No, we could show it, and
okay.
Shaq afterwards can put a little call out.
Put
for
yellow
it.
text here. But
He's
yes.
not going to do it. He doesn't want to do it.
So they
He's
call
not
out
talking.
the fact that there's a lack of alt attributes, alt text on a lot
You know
of
what?
these
So
images.
that's interesting. We call it alt text all the time,
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
or we call it an alt tag.
alt tag. Yeah, okay.
In reality, it's an attribute for the image tag. So
yes.
I try to correct myself all the time to say alt attribute, but basically alt text is kind
Alt
of
text. You can say alt text.
the de facto standard, and that's actually what they're calling it here,
Yeah.
alt text.
Yeah, and I feel like that's so. We even have clients who will look at our work, and we have decorative images, blank alt attributes, and they go, "Are we going to get sued?" and I have to explain to them that it's interesting because it's one of the things they know to look for.
Right.
And
Right.
then I have to explain to them how sometimes decorative it's okay, but here
Right.
in this case, I think for example in Winn-Dixie, they had coupons that were images with no alt attributes, and so in theory you're excluding a whole
Right.
group of people from using those coupons.
Exactly.
Cool. All right. I've got one other thing.
You know what was interesting?
Yeah.
I think it was that. I think they lost the suit.
Yeah.
But not because of that. It was a legal definition of the site not being included as recognized as a public space or something like that. I could be completely wrong.
Winn-Dixie lost actually for the Winn-Dixie one.
Okay,
Yeah.
they might have lost on something else. So
Yeah.
if I'm wrong, comment
on.
correct me, let me know.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so what I would like to do is go to a couple of these sites. So this was the Burger King one. I'd like to go to a couple of websites, look at their alt attributes.
Okay.
We're going to guess what the alt attributes should be. We'll keep a score, see who's doing well.
Oh, into the game. Okay.
Yeah, and we'll see if Burger King and,
Can we do
and
little
their
dings
competitors
on each
are
side
doing
when
a
we
good.
win?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We'll do some effects.
Shaq refuses to talk. Gonna make him talk.
So first
serious.
we'll do McDonald's. We did not
Hey.
build this site. We have none of these sites you haven't even probably seen some of these sites.
I
right?
haven't seen any of them.
Okay.
Am a fan of McDonald's coffee.
Okay.
Make good. Burger King makes good coffee too as well.
Yeah.
But
So let's.
yeah. So there's might be a food theme going on here.
Yep. Oh, just in the beginning.
So we had dessert first.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So first icon is their logo. So I talked about this being a functional image, probably has two roles. It's the McDonald's logo, and it's also a link to the homepage.
I might want to say McDonald's. Can I say McDonald's M or McDonald's Golden Arches
Golden Arches.
home.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let's take a look.
Let's see.
Drums, and we've got blank old attribute.
Blank?
Yeah. So instead they did an ARIA label. They kind of got away with it.
Okay.
So they put ARIA hidden on this image, and instead they're putting an ARIA label on the link, and it says McDonald's home. So they're in the clear.
All
They're
right.
good.
I might have wanted Golden Arches there.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Okay.
Okay. So now we've got an image here.
So I just want to call out the fact that the alt you saw in the code alt, and it wasn't equals hash quote, it was just alt.
Right.
That means that attribute was actually
Empty.
blank.
Yes, exactly.
Or empty.
Mhm.
But they use an ARIA label, which was what?
ARIA hidden here. And then they put an ARIA label on the link.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Oh, because they didn't want it to. They basically didn't want the screen reader to read the image. They wanted
Yeah.
the link to be the thing. Got it.
Exactly,
Okay. So
exactly.
perfectly acceptable,
Totally good.
accessible solution.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Good.
And I found on this website they probably did do a lot of accessibility testing. Okay, so
I would
skip ahead.
hope this is good because
Yeah.
this is. I mean, come on, it's McDonald's,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
how much money do they have to build on this website? and
It's
do
downhill
tests?
from here.
Oh my God, really?
Well, no, McDonald's is good. So the next
Okay.
one is this. We've got cafe, right? And good is brewing.
Okay.
So there's image in the text.
Okay. So if I didn't see good as brewing,
Yeah.
I would have said blank because it's not relevant.
Yeah.
However,
Mhm.
there's a tagline in here.
Right.
So I would probably describe the image as, or it could just say McCafe,
Right.
good as brewing.
Right.
That
would
would
do
be it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look. And what they did is they have just good as brewing. And I think that's okay too because
You're saying McCafe right above
Right
it.
above it.
Yep. Yep.
and that's the only new
Okay.
content here.
The thing is, what you're missing out on is that this is kind of a nice taste appeal image.
Yeah.
You know, this like the cream going into the coffee, but like to explain that, it just doesn't make it. It's just eye candy. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
So for the ingest of the content of this page.
Right.
So okay.
All right, I'm gonna skip down here for a little bit and let's
Oh,
do
boy, why you gotta just? It's a good thing we just ate
We did
because
just
man, this would be bad.
let's do this guy. So we've got like a muffin, some kind of cinnamon swirl. What do you call these things again?
That's a cinnamon roll.
Cinnamon roll. Was it
Muffin, cinnamon roll,
Cinnamon
and
roll?
a
cruller?
So that's a cruller, or it could be an
Okay.
apple fritter,
Okay.
or
Apple fritter.
bear
There we
claw,
go.
it might be
Okay,
apple fritter.
so what would you call that? So it's already presented with some text. McCafe Bakery.
I probably would make it blank. I
would make it
think
blank
it's
too.
irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because I want people to get through this, just this same UX concept.
Mhm.
Get them to the user journey you want them to, and get them to where you need them to go. Right? I want them to go to McCafe Bakery link to learn more. With the screen reader, if I cannot waste their time with something that's irrelevant,
Right.
let me get them to the bakery page as soon as possible.
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
All right. So I'm
are we
gonna
right?
go
Are we right? Are we
inspect, and it's blank. That's what they did. And note they're using an image inside a picture tag so that they can have alternative images for different breakpoints.
Picture tag, nice.
But it inherits the alt from here, and it's blank, so it's empty. And so,
picture tag is being used a lot more now.
yeah,
Or-
actually, yeah,
okay,
you'll see
so-
it a lot, yeah.
Because I just remember when we first started wanting to use it, and we're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, only like Chrome is the only one that respects it, and nobody else was like, oh, we can't use it yet. That's great.
Yeah.
I've always been interested in the art direction capacity of the image tag, being able to kind of
Yeah.
put in different croppings based on breakpoint.
And I think you got some graceful degradation here because there's still an image tag. It's the same tag inside the picture. So even if it had no idea what image was or source was, it's, an older browser would still know what the image tag is.
Got it. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so 3 for 3, I think, for McDonald's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. So a good
This is good.
representation of some stuff.
That's a good clean layout,
Yep.
on brand.
So here's Uber Eats.
Okay, so now you said it's going downhill. So okay, here we go.
Okay, so we've got this giant background image. This is actually a background image.
Okay, so
yeah.
background image doesn't get all text.
Nope.
Because it's rendered in with whatever the background image issue or through CSS.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. If you're doing a background image, don't put text in your background image because you can have an alt attribute there. But let's go to this icon here. It says Uber Eats, and it's in a black thing, kind of like it's maybe their mobile app icon.
That's the mobile app icon. Yeah,
Right.
There's more to love in the app. I think it's irrelevant. I wouldn't. I would have it blank.
You would have.
Oh
Uber
wait,
Eats.
is that whole thing an image?
This whole no,
that's
just
text.
this
Okay.
part is the image.
I think it's irrelevant to have the app icon. Who cares? Like there's more to love in the app. The iPhone and the Android ones, those need to say iPhone. Download iPhone app.
Right.
Download Android app. Or go to Apple Store or go to Android Play
Clicked
Store,
on it.
whatever. Right.
Let's go back. So this is probably an image right inside here, and that one is probably blank. It's actually just an SVG inline and ARIA hidden, so there's no alt attribute on this guy, and that's okay because it's presented
Where's
with
the
that
tag?
text. Up
Can I
there.
link? The SVG's inside.
Yeah, and the SVG's inside, so that's hidden, and then we've got this text iPhone, and I think that's okay.
Because you read, there's more to love in the app. Link iPhone, link Android. Okay,
Yep, that's it.
that works. That works.
And then the Uber Eats, it just has the text, and it just says Uber Eats. It just repeats it, so it doesn't say Uber Eats icon logo or something like that. I think that's okay too. It's just says Uber
Maybe
Eats.
it's okay. So say Uber Eats. There's more to love in the app. It would read it. Image Uber Eats. There's okay.
Yep.
That's okay. All right.
Here's another one
give it to
here where it says feed your employees, and it's a picture of I don't know, it's just some hands
Break
reaching
room.
for food. Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Hands going in, picking up food. Decorative.
Yep.
Relevant.
That's what I would say too. And they've got feed your employees. So they put the title there.
There you go. So this is exactly what we talking about earlier. So now
Exactly.
it's going to read it. Image, feed your employees. Feed your employees.
This could have been Nick and Chuck circa 2015 or something like that.
Could have been 2015 or 2010.
2010. Okay, sorry. So yeah, all of these images, your restaurant delivered. So if you read this with a screen reader, it says feed your employees, create a business account. Your restaurant delivered, add your restaurant.
So this is an important thing the accessibility, making a site accessible and observing through a screen reader is not just about making sure the content is understood and contextually accurate. It's also about not annoying somebody.
Right.
So somebody that's using a screen reader is already utilizing an assistive device to access this site. So the experience is already different from a typical viewer. And it takes a lot longer to go through because you're not doing a visual scan.
Right.
So to add in redundancies that force them to spend more time getting the information they need is annoying.
Right.
It sucks.
But
so
it's just annoying. Like no one's gonna sue you because you put some redundant alt attributes. You know what I mean? We're just trying to increase the experience.
This is what right. So this is we go a little further than right. So I want to make sure that the users are not getting annoyed.
Right.
So but we're experts in our field.
All right. So
Caitlin's faces are awesome. We need to take pictures of it and go pop up Caitlin's face like Doge.
So these are the guys that got sued. We saw in 2018.
These are the guys that got sued. We're not gonna talk about them.
So this is Burger King.
Burger King.
And they've got lots of images. Those are not web fonts. Those are full on images.
Tasty offers,
all
meet
that.
them out, right?
Mhm,
So all good, delicious looking stuff, cool font, cool little layout, nice colors, right?
So again, here, this we would expect to say
Burger King Home,
right? So, and let's see how they did there. And they've got Okay, I'm digging through, and we've got just like an SVG.
Is this Drupal? Because there's a lot of nested divs.
It is a weird CMS. I did look at what it was before. There's nothing. There's nothing in here. This is a link that would be considered an empty link or a blank link. A screen reader would get to it and it would just read link, but because there's no alt attribute. So Burger King, if you're listening, call us. We will help you. That's the first one.
It's a Nick with the soft sell. That's kind of a hard sell, actually. So, all right. So let's talk about the implications of that.
Yeah.
The consequences of that.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer know how to get home.
No, you don't.
Because if I'm using a screen reader, I'm never getting read the home link. I'm getting read menu, offers, restaurants, careers, more.
Yeah.
Never home.
Yes.
How do I get home? I got to go all the way to the redundant footer nav.
I don't know.
Through the whole page.
Or you go to the link and roll dice, and you have no idea where it's gonna go.
Right. Feeling lucky, Burger King.
Yeah. Okay. So.
All right.
So now we've got offers here. This is, remember Winn-Dixie, they got sued because they're, coupons and stuff.
Yep.
I feel like this would be sensitive information.
Oh, okay. So this one
this
is
a giant image.
Right. So it's your order a Chick King. Got it. Chicken. Oh, it's a chicken center. I got it. At bk.com. It's cute. Very cute.
Yep.
Get a free Whopper. All right. So
cool.
All right. Based on where it's going.
Yeah.
I'm thinking there's no alt text for this. That's what I'm thinking.
Exactly right. They actually have a really strange alt attribute.
Oh, they actually have an alt attribute?
They do.
That what does it say?
Hold on, let me dig in here.
Eat your heart out, McDonald's.
It's pretty bad. It says background image, and it literally reads with a screen reader. Background image. Yeah.
Is there any hidden accessible text inside that?
There's nothing in here.
What does the link say?
It just says back. You ready? Can we do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
By the way, everybody loves when we go to screen reader mode. Loves it.
Shaq loves it. I'm going to make it loud.
VoiceOver on Chrome, Burger King, Google Chrome, window, bk.com. Insert in the beginning of text. Address and search bar, edit text. Command L. You are currently on the text field. To enter text in this field, Burger King web content. You are link. Shopping cart preview $0.00 cart total bag icon collapse button. End of primary navigation main. You are currently on a link. To click this link, press Control Option Space. Visit link. Background image. See offers are terms here.
So it says
it said terms here because terms here is text.
And see offer, and it just says visited link background image.
But so I don't know what it is.
Go to the next one.
Link background image. Get delivers RX CAAKNHI. Terms here.
Oh, come
To
on.
click this link, press Control Option Space. Link. Background image. See offers are terms here.
Just background image.
You are currently on a link. To click this voiceover off.
Table stakes, people. Table stakes.
It's been 3 years since they were sued, and they still haven't fixed their homepage. So,
seriously, Burger King, call us.
Call us. All right.
Leave a comment. Let us know.
So I just found out recently that Burger King and Popeyes are owned by the same exact parent company.
So let me guess. You went to Popeyes.
I didn't know that until I went to.
I didn't know that either. What's the parent company?
I don't know. It is something weird. Like Caitlin will look it up. So take a look. We've got the same format here. It's even got the same kind of bevel thing, but look at how they're treating it here. They're actually using the background image as a background image, and they're putting text on top. So I think they kind of get it a little bit more. This is probably how the site was designed to be used.
Here's one thing that I really do like what they're doing.
Yeah.
Parent company.
Yep.
Burger King, Popeyes.
Same CMS.
It's completely different. Same CMS.
Same components.
Using templates. Same components.
Yep.
Flowing in different CSS so it looks different.
Yep.
I love that. However, if you do something wrong in the component, it's going to be wrong across the board.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So we'll check.
There's also some serious contrast issues on this strawberry cheesecake, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to go to Popeyes and let's check their link.
First of all, can we just... That's the teaser. Popeyes. Popeyes.
Go to Popeyes. And again, blank. So it looks like...
By the way, you'd probably never go to Popeyes.
No, I didn't. I actually never go to Popeyes.
You wouldn't, right.
No. So yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. And
well, that makes sense. SVG, No
Nothing
alt text, no alt text. That makes sense.
Yeah. And this one here, so I would say if this whole thing is a link, you
Is that text? Is that $0?
Yeah, and that's text.
Okay.
You're good. You don't need to describe this image at all.
Right,
That
again.
is totally decorative.
Actually, it probably caused more confusion because this is not an image of something getting delivered.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's an image after the
People
delivery,
eating.
right? So
Right, so I'm gonna
$0
inspect.
delivery fee.
You ready?
Yeah.
Guess what? What do you think we're gonna get?
People eating delicious chicken sandwiches.
Oh gosh, you're giving them too much credit already. Here it is, and we've got background image.
Oh no.
So it literally
So
reads.
do you think that so I'm wondering if that is a default set
Yeah.
for the field.
Yep.
So when someone goes in and edits it in CMS, they just don't change it.
Yep. That's it. Yeah.
Listen, I'd be happy if they don't call us. Just learn from this. Just fix it.
Yeah. Just fix it.
My God, come on.
Okay. All right.
Not really
We're
Popeye's
going to
close.
leave these guys. And by the way, so this one here where it says rollback quality, that's baked into the image. So this whole one is just totally unreal.
Right, and you can pretty much figure that out just by looking at it because of the stylized nature of the text.
Yeah.
Dead.net. Did Pat give you this one?
No, I did it for Pat. So if Pat's watching, this is for you. Let's
Pat,
see.
comment. We're gonna see if he. We're not gonna tell him, right?
You're
If you've
watching
gotten this far, Pat, comment
Comment. Okay. So
with a lyric from a Grateful Dead song. Number one, we won't know what it is. You can do whatever you want.
I might know, but all right. So
You would know.
I would know.
You would know.
Okay, so we've got some images here. We've got the logo. So we would expect it to say dead.net official site of the Grateful Dead. And it says dead logo. So okay.
Okay, all right.
They did a decent job here. And it's actually that's just the
Oh, that's just the icon.
the squiggle. So I
The
think
squiggle. Okay. So that is the Dead logo.
and the rest is a web font. Good for them.
Look at that.
Yeah. Pretty good.
Oh.
We talked about icons, so we can check out their search icon. We've got a button, and inside we've got an SVG. So nobody would know what this button does. Oh, inside the SVG they put a title, so that also works.
Okay, so I was going to ask you about
Yeah.
this. Can an SVG tag have an alt attribute?
No. So instead it has a title attribute, and I think there's a description attribute. that you
So
can put in there.
when you're creating the SVG
Yeah.
using Illustrator, that's what I would use.
Yeah.
I don't know if that by default puts a title in there or there's part of an export or you
Yeah,
might have
in
to actually
Sketch.
edit the
Yeah.
SVG.
Yeah.
You can do that in Sketch
No, I know. I'm saying
when you
it's-
export.
So when you export from Illustrator or Sketch, it puts created by
Yeah.
Sketch or exported from Illustrator.
Oh, okay.
And so screen readers will read that.
So-
sometimes.
The fun thing about SVGs is that you can actually bring them up in a text editor and go ahead and
Edit.
edit them. Now, don't edit any of the paths because you'll screw up the image, but you can add in. We actually did something on an old site, on one of our old sites, where we had a sand key diagram, and I needed to change the color of a path based on hover.
Okay.
Right? I think you remember this.
Yeah.
I actually coded this
Yeah. Okay. Good.
back when I coded. But I put the CSS inside because CSS wasn't able to talk into the SVG
Oh yeah.
and change the color of a path.
Okay.
I assigned all those colors there and then set them to the hover pseudo class
Right.
so that when you hovered over it, it then did it inside the SVG,
Inside the SVG
and not
image.
outside. So
Cool.
I was pretty happy about that.
Yeah, very cool. So far the dead.net is doing a good job here. They've got these banners. The banners have text inside them. This one says,
But that's not a web font.
That's not a web font. So that was, but this is.
So this
is
has
totally
to be
image.
So this is a hero image. It's in a slider, super common. This should say Shakedown Garden Club.
available
probably-
now. Click.
Available. I might actually want to. So to me, this image actually has context because
Yes.
it's showing the merchandise. You've got a dress or an apron.
Yes.
You've got shirts. You've got jackets. You've got totes. So I would explain that
I would too.
and just be like Shakedown Garden Club Dead merchandise.
Yep.
Available now,
Let's
and
do
just
it.
do that. So let's see what they do.
Okay, so I'm going to inspect, and they wrote nothing.
No.
Nothing. So they were doing so good, and then this is probably a content editor's fault. I don't blame the developers. I blame the content the content entry person.
So dead.net call us, Pat would lose it. Can you imagine that?
Oh, could do it for free. I don't want to say that, but
no, don't. We got to eat.
Yeah, that's true. But all their
we got to buy this stuff.
All their banners are blank.
Don't you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to blame the content editor on that.
Yep.
Because first of all, was the alt attribute there just blank?
It's just it's there just blank.
So chances are it's in the CMS.
Yep.
I'm guessing this is probably WordPress.
Yeah, something.
So the alt attribute could be there, probably is. It's just not being filled in.
Yep.
All right.
Next one. Still got time? You got a couple more?
Let's actually check. How are we
doing on time? 7 p.m. I don't know what that means. How long have we been going on?
Oh, is it 7 p.m. now? Oh, we should wrap.
We should wrap. Okay.
We should wrap.
Can I do one more?
You can do one more.
One more. Okay.
The producers are. Shaq just winked at me.
Okay, this is the weirdest one, and this is
Radiohead.
Radiohead.
How weird.
So their websites are always super weird. I remember going to them as a kid, and
Tom York.
Yeah,
right?
Tom York. Yeah,
he's
a weird guy, and all their websites are always very, very, very visual.
It's cool. Yeah, I love it. I love this.
So everything's an image here. This I don't even know what it is, but these are music videos. I recognize that. This is merchandise. I recognize that.
Right.
Even as a sighted user, I don't know what would happen if I clicked on any of these things. I'm gonna do it. Oh, so just down the page.
Okay, so so hold on. So this is interesting.
Yes.
Because this and a site like this for a property like Radiohead, this is meant to be exploratory. This is meant to poke around and figure it out.
Yeah.
So really, when we talk about accessibility, the thinking here is you want to provide a comparative experience.
Exactly.
In terms of, right, it doesn't have to be the same experience, but it has to be a comparative experience.
Right.
So I would want an accessible version of the site from the screen reader to feel exploratory.
Exactly. Yep.
However, I would probably add in, or I might have something get announced by the ARIA label that would state what just happened.
Okay. Yeah, something like that.
Scroll to section, background color change, or something like that.
Right.
That was relevant.
It's a weird experience, so it shouldn't give it away. It shouldn't say this is a link to our 1984 music video or whatever the heck. It should actually just be just as weird to a screen reader.
So what does that do? So let's take a look. I'm curious what this nav does.
Well, they didn't do a good job. So all of these have alt attribute that is completely missing. Missing. So with a screen reader, I heard all of this junk as file names. Which was, yes, it was a weird experience. It sounded like a Radiohead song.
What was the file? Oh my God, did it read HTTPS?
Yes. And that's it. So anyway.
So it's not, okay. So that's what I stated earlier was incorrect. It doesn't read DSC 00195. It reads the full URL of the destination of the file.
Exactly how you typed it. Yeah. And this is a link, like, I know this is merch. Anybody knows that this is some kind of merch link.
Well, by looking at it.
Yeah. Sure. But unfortunately, they didn't put any alt attributes. And that's it. So I think McDonald's was great. Uber Eats was pretty good.
Uber Eats, not bad. Burger King, fail. Radiohead, fail.
And Grateful Dead, half and half. Yep.
Dead, yeah. I mean, look. They got the nav.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, good.
Right.
But come on, you're selling merch. I mean, that's what you're doing, right? You want to make sure that that's accurate.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Super, super important for commerce.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right.
So, we talk about alt attributes. It is accessibility 101, but we still talk about it because it is part of these lawsuits because people are still failing. Still people, don't know what to put there or they're just doing it wrong.
And I might chalk it up to ignorance, and not ignorant in a bad way, just don't know the definition of ignorant.
Lack of training.
Just don't know, lack of training.
Yep.
But watch this and learn.
Right.
And be better, people, be better.
And
so
wait, I have 2 follow-ups.
Okay, go ahead.
From this episode.
Okay.
Oh.
The parent company
Okay, yeah.
is RBI, Restaurant Brands
RBI.
International.
Okay, yep.
And coexist.
Exists. Yeah.
That's awesome.
We need one. I'm gonna put it on my laptop.
Okay, so that's awesome.
I don't recognize all of those.
Okay, so that's Stargate,
Oh, yeah.
that's Star Wars,
Okay.
that's
that's the Enterprise?
that's a Warbird, right?
Yeah,
That's
I would say so.
Is that the Enterprise? That's the
No,
Enterprise.
but that one's the
That's
Enterprise.
the
Oh, and they're
Enterprise.
both the Enterprise. One's up.
Some of these I don't know.
That looks like a Romulan kind of thing, or yeah,
Could be.
cool.
It's awesome.
Very cool.
So we'd love it if you click that subscribe button.
Yep.
And hit that notification bell. We release new episodes every 2 weeks. We're super busy shop, so we just don't have too much. Nick does a lot of work to prep for these, so we got to make sure he's got time to do it. So hit that subscribe, hit that bell button, leave your comments, questions, and feedback down below, and we will answer your questions.
And don't forget to hard refresh.
And don't forget to hard refresh.
Yep.
Or hard refresh.
Sure, yeah. And thanks to Caitlin and Jack,
Yes.
our producer.
Producers. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.